Hi and welcome to all the viewers joining us for this pre-recorded preview. We are recording on Wednesday for the Thursday meeting out at Turffontein on the Stand-Side track. So the betting on the 13th of July, Thursday, Turffontein Stand-Side track. Lovely to have Alistair Cohen on the line. Firstly, Alistair, how are you doing? And then secondly, tell us a bit about what you think of the card.
Yeah, Sheldon, everything's good, thank you. I trust you and the viewers are all good as well. I don't mind the card, actually. I've tipped a buy pot as my suggested bet. I've got no bankers, but I haven't gone to town either. I think it's a little bit more friendly than Tuesday's card. I was very pleased with how I read those tricky races on Tuesday until race 7. That was the undoing. But on what looked to be quite a trappy card, most of it went according to plan. The exacta in race 6 that looked an absolute shoe and arrived. But yeah, this card I've seen worse. I've seen probably more punter-friendly cards in my time. But the good news is that the weather's going to get warmer as the week goes on, so it won't be as bitterly cold as it was at the Vaal on Tuesday.
Well, that's the good news. So let's get straight into the action. Being a 9-race program, the first race will not be part of the exotics. 11:25 over 1,400 meters. This horse, number 7, Longsword, opened up at 8-10, has shortened down 7-10. You'll all remember he was a reserve runner on July Day. He is nominated on Gold Cup Day for the Grade 1 Premier's Champion Stakes. Last time out, your stable came through to beat Longsword, and the talk was Longsword was unbeatable. The money absolutely flooded on him on that occasion. Alistair?
Yeah, and that was a surprise because Nazare was a tad disappointing at Hollywoodbets Greyville the time before when thinking that the poly track would be perfect for him. But anyway, Longsword got shouldered right at the end. Kelvin Habib now takes a ride. Sean Terry does hold the son of William Longsword in very high esteem. As you mentioned, didn't quite make the final cut in the Golden Horse Show on July Day, was the first reserve, and I'd expect him to win here. He's a big burly horse, so probably just the type of horse who's just needed runs as time goes on, number 7 Longsword, and I think now he's just more grizzled, more wise, and he should take all the beating. He's a deserved favourite. The biggest danger is number 3 Feel Alright, who's had his chances. He brings some reasonable form lines and he gets blinkers on for the first time. I respect his chances, but he's going to have to improve a lot, and Longsword's probably going to have to take a step back for the result to be 3 from 7. So I think it'll be 7 from 3.
Well, there we go. And if you look at Longsword's penultimate run, he ran behind a certain main defender who came out on 1 on Hollywoodbets Durbanville July Day. So the form line's looking good. First race, number 7, Longsword. Get your money for the exotics, race number 1. Let's go on to race number 2, where the buy pot commences. And just looking at the anti-post betting, number 1, Bavarian Beauty is 8-10. And the Candice Dawson runner, number 2, Just Be Lacquer, is priced up at around 4-1. Let's firstly touch on number 2, Just Be Lacquer. Went off at 100-1 on debut, but wasn't a complete shock for you guys?
No, you know the story, Sheldon. I even tipped her on the show saying that she would run into the first 3, and she won. Going away, she won hands and heels. She looked the part in winning. She was scratched a couple of weeks ago. That was a slight setback. It's nothing to be overly alarmed about. She is setting up for the Grade 3, one of the Grade 3s on Hollywoodbets Gold Cup Day at Hollywoodbets Greyville. So that is the main aim for number 2, Just Be Lacquer. She's doing nicely. JP van der Merwe rode her in her last workout and was very pleased with her. But you've got to be impressed with the way that, well, she was very impressive when winning. But number 1, Bavarian Beauty, was also seriously impressive when winning about a month ago, beating Primrose Path. Fine, that was a slight. That was a rather weak maiden. No Primrose Path has come out and won, but Bavarian Beauty looked the part when winning on that occasion. Craig Zaki takes a ride for Tony Peter, and I think coming back to the same course and distance and also home ground advantage for number 1, Bavarian Beauty, she might just have the edge. I also respect the chance of number 3, No Filter, David Nevenhuizen trains. Calvin Habib takes the ride, the same combination as Sandringham Summit. She went off to the front in the Golden Slipper. Probably not the right way to do things. She fell in a hole. The mother was an out-and-out sprinter, so I'd also question the fact that she might not have gone 1,400 meters on Hollywoodbets Durbanville July Day. So worth another chance back in a straight line at Turffontein. So the winner will be 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, or 3 in this race. I'm sure there seems to be no interest in any of the first timers. So my first choice here would be number 1, Bavarian Beauty, Sheldon.
Just of interest, if you look at Bavarian Beauty and Just Be Lekker, I think they ran 4 days apart, and Bavarian Beauty's time was 68.89, whereas Just Be Lekker was 68.59. So if the guys look at the times, obviously depending how the races pan out, on time-wise, there's not much to separate them.
Yeah, you are trying to talk me into Just Be Lekker. She's got a good chance. That's a big observation. I don't read too much into times on different days, but 4 days apart, what can happen in 4 days? So, yeah, you might be onto something. I hope you're onto something, Sheldon. But to the eye, Bavarian Beauty looked impressive when winning last time.
There we go. I didn't see either of them win, so we're going to go with number 1, Bavarian Beauty, who found a ton of support last time out. The Baltic Secret form line is lethal. And number 2, Just Be Lekker. Let's see how she goes. On to the third race, where, Alistair, you've gone 1, 2, and 5 in your buy pot. Let's chat with about number 1, Back in Business from the Joey Soma yard. Won the first 2 races, and then not disgraced third behind Dave the King at his third attempt.
We've probably overcomplicated this race, Sheldon. What worries me a little bit about Back in Business is the form of Joey Soma over the last month or so. Since he had his knee operation, he obviously spent a couple of weeks recuperating at home, and one runner on Saturday got scratched. The other one, Caliber Crest, ran it was his most disappointing performance to date. So that is a worry about number 1, Back in Business. Although I think he's got a certain amount of ability, I know that he beat 2 fairly moderate races to get to that graduation last time, but still, if you can run less than 2 lengths a Dave the King, just a powerful front-running galloper, you got to have something about you. But then, on the other hand, number 5, Southern Skies, finished in front of Back in Business in that run in the graduation. It was a trifle disappointing from Southern Skies last time at Hollywoodbets Greyville in the Durban Dash. She's got to be a lot better than that. I think she is a lot better than that. I think noteworthy is that Gavin Arena's sweated down to 54.5 to take the ride. Gavin's determined to get his way down to around 53.5 and really bang in the winners next season. So he's a driven man at the moment. And number 5, Southern Skies, I'd say, has the winning edge in this race over number 1, Back in Business. 2, Power Broker, very interesting runner, went off to the front last time, just got collared late. Muzi Yeni back on board. With that type of cheap speed that he's got, he could be dangerous on a fast track, so I've got respect for him.
Next up will be race number 4, due for 12:55, pick 6 time. So pick 6 is going to come alive over 1,600 meters. And just looking at the 2 horses who look to be dominating, number 4, Fushimi Inari, and number 5, Hotta Ruby. Numbers 4 and 5, they are the 2 runners that are significant at this point in time. And Alistair, numbers 4 and 5 are your 2 bar pot selections?
Yeah, and I think they'll be hard to overturn, certainly both of them here, Sheldon. Number 4, Fushimi Inari, showed good improvement from first run to second run. I think the first run was a slight disappointment behind Severado, went off at 100 to 1, so that was a surprise winner, but then followed up over a mile last time, ran second to Mutarazi. I think Mutarazi is a useful horse trained by Alec Laird, so there's enough to like about number 4, Fushimi Inari. And then number 5, Hotta Ruby, just banging at the door. Last time taking on winners, ran a good second to Red Bomber. He's got to be close now, Sheldon, so I can't see him being too far away. I think Samango Kamalo taking the ride is also crucial to his chances, and I can't see much going awry here with numbers 4 and 5 in the opening leg of the pick 6. If you're looking for another, number 7, No Place Like Home, I suppose you could draw comparisons in the run to Bomb at the Vaal in April, because No Place Like Home was unlucky not to finish a little bit closer. He ran into a pocket, ran into a little bit of traffic, and was beaten around 2 lengths by Hotta Ruby on that occasion. So there's a little bit of food for thought with regard to number 7, No Place Like Home, who's also a brother to Shoemaker and Zapatilis. But I think that we're safe with 4 and 5 in race number 4, the third leg of the bar pot.
So looking for a form result in race number 4 as we head over to race number 5, which will be contested over 1,600 meters. Alistair's going with numbers 2, 3, and 4 in the bar pot. Looking at the betting, number 2, Royal Guard, from 13 to 10, has shortened down 11 to 10, is the ruling favourite, but we'll get to Royal Guard in a moment. Alistair, you've got number 4, Silent Trigger, in your selections. And for me, this is the mystery horse at around 12 and 14 to 1. Have you heard anything about Silent Trigger? Because I think this could be the lurker in the pack.
No, I haven't heard anything, Sheldon, but Baron Boertjes does so well with these imports from Cape Town. The ratings come down. You're right, he's a mystery horse. It's probably duck or no dinner with the son of Twice Over. But I like the runs that he's been putting together in Cape Town, going close. And as we've seen, Cape Town horses turn up in Joburg, and they tend to grow an extra leg off their rating. So I'm going to take the stance that number 4, Silent Trigger, is overpriced and he's going to run very nicely. Whether he beats number 2, Royal Guide, that remains to be seen, because my pet hate, as I mentioned at the Val on Tuesday, is horses that are losers and getting penalised. The number 2 Royal Guide got given 2 points for running less than a length to Celestial City. But with that said, I'm also pretty firm in the stance that number 2 Royal Guide is actually well handicapped, because exiting the maiden as a rising 5-year-old, the handicapper's hands are tied, can't give him a huge penalty. So he could be upwardly mobile with low mileage on the clock. So I respect the money for number 2 Royal Guide, and I'm leaning towards him as the horse to beat from number 4 Silent Trigger. But for me, Silent Trigger is a live runner. Number 4 Pewter Sky ran quite some way above his rating last time at Hollywoodbets Greyville when finishing 4th to Strawberry Bear. Strawberry Bear, of course, famously accounted for Cousin Casey. He's rated 104. So Pewter Sky ran, nearly £8 above his rating. So that's a piece of form that you got to respect as well. He might be slightly better on a tighter turning track because he's got a turn of foot, which he demonstrated last time out. He was able to stay up there, and better horses just got the better of him late. But I'll throw number 3 Pewter Sky into everything, although he is my 3rd selection.
Right, let's move on to race number 6, and just looking at the 6th race, 1 and 3 will be the numbers for Alistair in the bar part. This horse, Eye of the Prophet, 3-year-old son of Gimme the Green Light, has done exceptionally well, becoming a 5-time winner as a 3-year-old from the Paul Matchett stable. And you had to like the way he beat Quantum Theory last time out, Alistair?
Yeah, and the winner of the World Sports Betting Gauteng Guineas win, he just saw off Royal Victory. Royal Victory is a good horse trained by Nathan Kotson. This horse loves Rachel Vinegar, and he loves a mile. Over this course and distance, he's 1 from 1. Over 1,600 metres, he's 3 from 4. The only time he got beaten was by a horse race at 68 in the former player. But since then, he's not looked back. He deserves his place at the top of the weights. Rachel Vinegar's 1.5 kilo claim, I think, could be quite crucial here to his chances. And I think pound for pound, he's the best horse in the race. So it will be stupid to look beyond number 1 Eye of the Prophet here, Sheldon. He is just a 2nd place away from taking his career earnings to R1 million. And Paul Match has done a very good job with the son of Gimme the Green Light, who this time last year basically hadn't been heard of. He was obviously still a maiden, but he didn't look like he was going to be any great shakes. So from a rating of 79 at the end of the season to where he is now for 119, credit to Paul Matchett. That's the progress this horse has made. A horse that I always like to follow, that I'm just going to back up Eye of the Prophet with, is number 3 Wafif. The son of Rafif ran a cracker in the Jubilee last time. He had no right to get that close to Porto Manzano at the weights. He finished 2 lengths off. A little bit of a concern that Electric Gold finished alongside with Wafif, and in a similar type of race last week, faded out of it, faded tamely, and ended up running, I think, last. So that is the slight concern. But Wafif is less enigmatic than Electric Gold. He's a real trier as Wafif, so I can see him going well again. Whether he's got the class to beat Eye of the Prophet, I don't know, but he's always just good value as backup.
And then just a quick word on number 10, Perfect Witness. Bounced back to her better form last time when beating Now I Got You. Earlier on ran behind Puerto Manzano and the Silver Darlings. Where would you place number 10, Perfect Witness?
Dangerous, actually, Sheldon. I don't know whether she can win. I know she's got a very, very light weight. Candice was confident about her last time. She said that she got Perfect Witness back to her best. The form is very dicey, to say the least. Interesting story. She was in the CIB Insurance Handicap on Hollywoodbets Durbanville Day, going down to the start, obviously, when load shedding kicked in. And JP van der Merwe got off in the unsettling box, said, wow, she felt unbelievable going down to the start. I wish we had this race. She would have gone close on what I felt. So that is the progress that Perfect Witness has made. There are couple of races for her on the horizon, so it's not inconceivable she goes well. What I'd recommend is that if you are playing wider pick sixes, put number 10 Perfect Witness into the play. Nathan Klink actually gets on very well with it, ridden her twice for a win and a 4th, and the 4th was coming off a 3-month layoff. but she'll be popping for her next start. That's what I can tell you.
That's what I like to hear. So popping for the next start. We'll keep a close eye on Perfect Witness. Next up will be race number 7, which will be run over 1,400 meters. And just looking at the race, it has that open-looking air about it. And you've gone with numbers 1, Save the Queen, number 4, Ivy League, and you've also thrown in number 8, Mama Quera.
Yeah, this race I don't like, Sheldon. Number 1, Save the Queen. Obviously, Sianda Sasibo takes 2.5 kilos off the back. The run on the 29th of June, although finishing 4th to Sir Yaverman's win was out of this world. So I think what we need to do is probably take Sir Yaverman out of the race and consider that Save the Queen was probably about 2 lengths behind the second placed horse. So maybe you could consider that a moral 4th for number 1, Save the Queen. She's probably upwardly mobile, being by Silvano. Alec Laird's yard is on fire at the moment. So that is my line of thinking for liking number 1, Save the Queen. I don't know if we can take her to the bank. I don't know if we can take anything to the bank in this race because I think there are vulnerabilities about them all. But I'm expecting number 1, Save the Queen, to run well, if not winning, being right there. Number 4, Ivy League, is obviously a 2-year-old. Her last run to Red Bomber was promising when going off to the front and getting edged out by Red Bomber. Also, I think has got quite a bit of ability. Now, Ivy League's win in the penultimate start over Play with Fire was actually top draw. I think that she's crying out for a trip, though. 1,400 meters might be a little bit on the sharp side for number 4, Ivy League, but going to a more galloping track, I think, is going to counter that argument. So I respect number 4, Ivy League's chances. If she's able to win this 1,400-meter race as a 2-year-old, then I think there are going to be lots of exciting times ahead. And then I back up the gallant old rising 7-year-old, number 8, Mama Quera. She's holding form. A little bit of a worry that Winning Queen from the same yard had a very similar profile and ran no sort of race on Tuesday. So maybe I'm overthinking that with number 8, Mama Quera, but she has to be respected as well. So those are my numbers, 1, 4, and 8. Here in the bar pot, it's a matter of survival.
Then races 8 and 9, talking about survival. Race number 8, they are betting 5 to the field with number 2 In the Beginning, once again from the Joey Somers stable. You heard some caution earlier on. That is the current 5 to 2 favourite. Number 4, What a Honey, is at 7 to 2, and number 3, Silver Winter, at 4 to 1. Just looking at this field, I think you could throw a blanket over them, Alistair.
Yeah, you can. It's wide open, Sheldon. But I like the bottom weight, number 7, Tayuba. Cabello Matsanyani takes her out for Mike de Kock. She's run with boys at her last 3 starts, and she hasn't been beaten out of sight. But what is interesting is that she met Berengaria on the 21st of March. There was a length and a quarter in it, and Tayuba comes in 2.5 kilos better off with Berengaria. And I think Berengaria's got a chance, certainly on a line through Big Eyed Girl. Berengaria's got to get close to What a Honey. So I think Tayuba is going to be the value in the penultimate race on the day. Again, it's not a race that you can be overly confident on because there are claims that every horse can make. Gallivanting, I suppose, pretty much cut from the same cloth in that she ran with boys in 2 of her last 3 starts. She didn't exactly rip up any trees, but she must have some sort of level about her. From an inside draw down the straight, I don't think in winter that is too crucial at Turffontein. Number 2 In the Beginning ran in a feature race last time. She's a lot better than that. I think she was undone by a deep draw, so she's worth another chance or 2. She is a full sister, by the way, to Jerusalem Rain, who I think has got any amounts of wins to come. And then Piet Bunzai is 2, 3 Silver Winter, and 4 What a Honey have to be respected. 6 Vivacious Spirit, you can make a case for her. But the point is, Sheldon, a good, strong bet on number 7, Tayuba. I'd cover with the places. I'd make sure you don't get burnt. I know it's a 7-horse field, so you're probably going to lose and dilute a little bit of the value from a third place perspective. But I think number 7, Tayuba, is the horse that they're all going to have to beat, especially off bottom weight.
There we go, some confidence from Alistair, around about 4 to 1. If you ask nicely, maybe 9 to 2 at this stage. Number 7, Tayuba from the Mike de Kock stable. One race left on the program, and it'll be race number 9 to bring down the curtain. It'll be run over 1,160 meters at 16:05. And looking at the anti-post betting, Tuscan Gold number 5 is at 2 to 1. Number 8, Dark Tide, is at 9 to 2. And you can pretty much get 6 to 1 and better the rest of them. Now, just looking at this horse number 5, Tuscan Gold, the Peters stable, they have a good record with these horses making the debut for their yard.
Yep, first run for the yard, so you know what that means. I think, to be fair, if he was running in Cape Town sometime soon, he'd probably be priced up favourite as well. He just looks ready to win, so I don't think it's a matter of him relocating. I just think that number 5, Tuscan Gold, is ready. I wouldn't be put off by the fact that he's been off for 64 days because the pizza stable can get them fit. Craig Zaki takes the ride. If there is a touch of support on the son of Visionaire, then I think that he is going to be quite a formidable force in this race. The only other horse I can see troubling him is a horse that I'm in and out of love with, and that's number 8, Dark Tide. I've been on the right side of him a couple of times, and I've been completely on the wrong side of him a couple of times. After his last run a week ago, where I liked and I labelled back to basics, I made a good thing, and I thought Dark Tide would be the danger. I bumped into Fani Bronckhorst, and all of his horses seem to be running places at the moment. And I said, Fani, when's Dark Tide going to win again? He said he's running again next week, and I think he'll go well. So there's a little bit of inside info. Gavin Larena takes the ride. He's ridden this horse once before, and obviously it was a no-show. Dark Tide's been kept on the boil for a long time, so he's entitled to the odd indifferent run, but there's no evidence of that coming with what he's been showing this winter. So I think number 8, Dark Tide, can trouble number 5, Tuscan Gold, if he has any vulnerabilities. I'm looking around right now. I'm actually just going through the form, looking for something else that might have a say. After Hours obviously ran on Tuesday, didn't run a good race, but had a bad draw. Now back down the straight from an outside draw. Maybe number 1, After Hours, can bounce back. He'll certainly be fit, but the run on Tuesday just, leaves me a little bit lacking confidence. So, yeah, without complicating it, Sheldon, I think number 5, the horse they all need to beat, but respect for number 8, Dark Tide, and also the form update for number 10, Feather the Nest, by the way, that's crucial. She ran on Saturday. Go watch the replay. She was low-flying late, but she's bluffed people before in the way that she can turn it on and then not follow it up. But I think legitimate top 3 chance for number 10, Feather the Nest.
Just before I let you go, Alistair, number 6, Anytime Champ, another J Soma runner, 380 odd days off the track at 50 to 1, one on debut, and then everything just seems to have come off. The wheels, everything have fallen off after that.
Yeah, no, I do explain that one. 380 days off the track, I think, tells you everything you need to know. Sparingly raced, rising 5-year-old. There's no doubt that the best version of Anytime Champ would be a very dangerous version of Anytime Champ, but Joey Soma is going to have to be a wizard to get him to be the best version of 380 days since his last run.
Excellent. So that's Alistair Cohen on the line. We'll bring up his suggested bet, which is a buy pot, and then we'll run through those numbers and then bid Alistair farewell. So let's bring up those numbers for Alistair Cohen as far as the buy pot goes. And Alistair Cohen is going to go with numbers 1 and 3 in the opening leg of the buy pot, by numbers 1, 2, 5, by 4 and 5. Next leg 2, 3 and 4. Penultimate leg 1 and 3 by numbers 1, 4 and 8. As always, thanks very much, Alistair, for the insight. Best of luck, and may all things go your way.
Cheers, Sheldon. Always a pleasure. We'll chat soon.
Excellent. Nice to have Alistair Cohen on the line for the Turffontein meeting, and let the horses do it for you on the racecourse.